says that the network service is not available whenever I try to install. The feature you're trying to use is on a network resource and is unavailable.
I thought you said it's already installed.
Well, I can't. I don't know if I can tell. Like, if this boots up, is it installed?
Should cancel that. Yeah, cancel. Click plus here.
Okay.
Type in your do a test connection. Oh, put something over there on the top. Say localhost. That's fine. Do a test connection. Okay. So yeah, your server is not installed. Cancel that.
But it says it.
What is it? This is installed. You can close. So there are like two different things. That's okay. I'll kick off and I'll give some time. We'll come back and see.
Okay, I'll keep messing with it.
Okay. Well, we'll start and then we'll do it together. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. Okay. Before I begin, Josh E over here has brought hand-baked cookies. Thank you very much, Josh. So please help yourself. Today is Chester's last day as well. If you guys forgot about that. Okay. All right. So today we are kicking off week 12. Close that door. So what does week 12 remind you guys of? Anything? Halfway, yes. Oh my god. Nobody has ever guessed that. All right, we are halfway through the program. You only have like 12 weeks left. Okay? And disappointingly, I haven't seen anybody posting on LinkedIn. I haven't had any more connections. So guys, please, kind of start building your resume. I know some people created their LinkedIn profiles and that's all they did, and they're now, it's somewhere. Please try to log in, start following people, kind of start liking posts, maybe sharing some of your progress. Again, we have to shamelessly advertise ourselves to kind of get into this industry. Okay? So if you haven't, please take a look at your resume, start building stuff. I'm not saying apply right now, and I'll kind of come to that in a few weeks, but at least start kind of warming up to that point. Okay, before we'll be done. Since there are not like exactly 12 lessons, it's probably like 8 more left. So because there's 2 projects in between, that's like 4 weeks. So that's like 8, and then 1 revision week, maybe like 7 weeks of new learning or new lessons. Okay. All right. So today we are going to look into databases. All right. We did look at one of the database or a data source called Firebase. Today we are going to look at a more traditional one, kind of very different from what Firebase is. Firebase, the concept is relatively new. Traditionally, this is what we are going to look at today. This is how databases have been, and they're still very popular, and a lot of companies are kind of still on that path. Okay, I don't see them going away in any near future. So as a part of full stack developer, working with databases, understanding basic queries, and kind of navigating your way, that's kind of part of our toolkit. We should know how to write basic queries. And all the queries we are going to cover this week, those are the kind of queries that everybody is looking for. There are some more advanced concepts that we should know. But again, I'm not talking about super complex queries that, there's a whole part to that. Those are what DB is, database administration courses or positions are for. They do more like complex queries. But what we need to know is some basic queries, how to create databases, delete, update, and insert some data into our databases. Okay? So the first thing we are going to look at is called SQL or SQL. It's kind of pronounced SQL. It's a three-letter word, and it stands for structured query language. Okay, this is what SQL stands for: structured query language. Okay, so look at the last part. It's called language. It is I won't say the programming language. It was kind of like a programming language, but it is a language. So it has its own syntax, its own way to write everything. Okay, it's totally different from anything you have seen. So what is it a language for? It is a language that you can use to talk to databases. Okay, there are a few more, but SQL is probably the most popular one, or like universally accepted. Right? Most of the databases that kind of follow the SQL structure require SQL or SQL. Some coding is required if you want to talk to databases. Okay, and what do I mean talking to the database? For example, if you want to create a database, you want to insert data into the database, you want to delete some data, you want to update some data, all of those tasks are going to be performed using this language, SQL. Okay? The code that we write in SQL, for short, we call them queries. Okay, you are basically writing queries. What queries are, again, it's just a way how do you talk to databases. Okay? So not all databases require SQL. For example, Firebase. Firebase did not require SQL, right? It's what we saw was it was all the data was in JSON format, and we were just pulling the data, kind of formatting, kind of parsing it. Okay, so those kind of databases are called NoSQL databases. Okay, for example, Firebase, MongoDB is a more popular one. When it comes to SQL databases, the one that we are going to be looking in this class is called MySQL. Okay, so SQL is a language to talk to database, and MySQL is a product that is based off on SQL. Okay, so MySQL is a product. For example, other products are Microsoft SQL Server. That's also a product. Oracle also uses SQL, so that's also one of the products. Similar to that, MySQL is a product. And why are we using MySQL? The biggest thing is it's open source. It's free. That's why it's more popular, especially if you want to develop something without buying licenses for Oracle, SQL Server, and all that stuff. MySQL is a really good choice, and it's really good. It's being maintained, and they keep upgrading it as well. Okay, so this is why we are studying MySQL. One of the biggest advantages is that it's open source. It's free to download. You can install it. You can start using it. Okay, you can store all your data in MySQL. It's still open source. Okay. Now, again, one more time, the difference between SQL is a language and different products. Everybody is using SQL. For example, Microsoft SQL Server, it's a product. They also use SQL. Oracle also kind of uses SQL. MySQL also uses SQL. Everything else is a product. But behind the scenes, everybody is using this language to talk to databases. Okay? And this is only true for SQL databases. NoSQL database such as Firebase or MongoDB, they are a kind of different beast. So we tackled Firebase. When we get to MongoDB, we'll talk more about it. But those databases do not use SQL. Okay, is the difference clear? Everybody understand that? Any questions on the concept? Good. Okay. Um, no questions. Oh, I had so much buffer for questions, but are you sure? No question. Everybody understand? Okay. Again, it's a totally different syntax. It has we've been working on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery. It's totally different. Okay. So we're going to learn some new syntax. Surprisingly, what I've seen the previous cohort, a lot of people kind of like MySQL or the SQL syntax, and I've heard people saying, "Oh, I kind of relate to it," or somehow I understand it better. Um, I don't know why that's the case, but we'll see how this goes when I introduce you guys to MySQL as well. Okay. All right. So before we can start any further, since there are no questions, we need to have our installations done so that I can show you what the syntax is, how do we create databases, and what are the parts in that databases. Okay. Um, so
Where are the instructions for that?
the instructions are in your GitLab under the 12 MySQL. So you will see two different files. Depending on what your operating system is, you should be able to go ahead and install those. Now, I know a lot of people were installing. How many people have not installed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we'll take some time. Please complete the installation because we can't go further unless everybody has them installed. People who have already done it, please make sure maybe you can help somebody and whatever guide you went through, make sure that everybody has installed. Okay, so next 15-20 minutes, I want to give that time. Make sure everybody has MySQL and the SQL Server installed so that we can proceed. Okay, sounds good. All right. So I followed the Mac guide, and it's exactly what it is. It's been upgraded to the latest version, so I didn't have any issues installing using this one. I haven't tried the Windows one though. So anybody who went through it, was there anything different from this one?
You said if the bash shows that it's not there.
It's not there. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do so. People who have installed, let's do a quick test, and then we'll come back to it for once everybody has installed. So what we can do is, don't do this. This is my setup. Once I'm done, I tend to close. Okay, that was weird. All right, a quick test is if you go to this screen, click the plus sign over here, enter a connection name. I'm going to call it localhost. Spaces doesn't matter, and then just do a test connection. It's going to ask you for your password. As I said, please keep a simple password because we will be using the exact same password in code. So are you able to get to this screen?
Yeah.
Successful? Okay, now good.
Yeah. So it's how you. Yeah. Right now.
Has anyone worked with SQL database before? 1, 2, okay, 2 people. Irina, what SQL database did you work with? What SQL database did you work with? MySQL? Okay. So you already know this. Hmm? Oh, okay. Miru, did you work in MySQL or was it something with MySQL? Yes. All right. So let's do one more time. When you come back to this screen, you will hit the plus over here where it says MySQL connection. Just enter a connection name. I am saying it localhost. You can call anything you want or just say localhost. And then do the test connection. Should bring up you this screen. You can save it.